Hey there, Munchie Mafia. It is a Saturday. Oh, there goes the ketchup bottle because Winston is protesting. Um, he doesn't like the amount of food that he got. He feels that he should get more. So, anyway, today is a blustery, cold, and dismal Saturday. And here's Cindy Lou Who. And people ask, where did her name come from? Her actual registered name is Trilliums. I Saved Christmas from the Grinch. And her call name is Cindy Lou Who. Um, she still hasn't named herself, so we're still calling her Cindy or Cindy Lou Who or Lulu or hey you, stop chewing on that. Um, and so this is another anniversary of when she came to live with us, and she's very squirmy right now because she had just eaten her lunch, but she's getting so much bigger. Look at her. Hi everybody. um, she's just so snuggly. Pretty soon she's going to be growing out of this little denim jacket that we got her because I couldn't find any extra small sweaters. So, and that's Sir Rufus McFluffy Butt. He's our other fluffy thing. He's a Norwegian forest cat. Winston has decided that he's going to give up because I'm not going to give in to his demands. It was bad enough I was sitting on the toilet this morning and he decided he wanted to climb into my onesie while I was sitting on the toilet. It's been a long week. So, oh, there goes Dory. It's probably my Amazon package. And anyway, so funny thing happened at work. I was doing some food prep when I noticed that there was blood inside the glove that I was wearing, and I looked down. I'm like, what the hell? We don't have knives in our kitchen because obviously I work in a jail and it's not safe because they can be weapons. So I ended up looking down at my finger, and there was just this puddle of blood at the tip of the finger of the glove. And I'm like, what the hell happened? What could I have possibly done this? Okay, so I got to get rid of this little thing because she's just too squirmy right now. So say bye-bye to Cindy Lou Who, who's 12 weeks. And we've only had her for 3. So anyway, that's my little fluffy baby. Yes. Love you long time. Yeah, I'm going to sick the puppy on you. All right, you go on. So anyway, we have this policy that if we hurt ourselves, even if we just bump our knee or something, we have to call MedCorps, which is like kind of like Nurse Navigator. They take the report and they ask us all these questions, and it's like 40 minutes of my time that I'm not going to effing get back. And I'm like trying to explain to her, I don't know what happened. I don't see any cuts on my finger. I don't know what happened. It's bleeding, but a Band-Aid should cure it. So she had to walk me through all the steps on how to take care of this wound on my finger. And then next thing I know, oh, you'll need to go for a tetanus shot. I'm like, oh, F my life. Last time I got one was 2 weeks worth of absolute agony afterwards. My whole arm hurt. I mean, every freaking joint in my arm hurt for almost 2 weeks. And the reason why I had to go get a tetanus shot back then was because I had to save my next door neighbor who was elderly from her garage door. And so there we are. I got scratched by her garage door while trying to free her from it. And she ended up with this huge gash. As you know, old people have really crepey skin, very thin, and it peels off when you get hurt, and it just looks horrible. So her whole arm got caught in the side of the garage door. So the garage door comes down, and she was reaching in because there was a button there to close the garage door, and she got distracted by something else, and next thing you know, her arm got caught in the door, and I kept hearing this screaming noise coming from her driveway. And the way that the houses are sitting, oh, come on, please don't play with the paper towels. Okay, you dick. You are a dick. You are a right dick. Okay, so you're going to be on camera next because you can't be trusted. All right, here's Winnie. He's Mr. Bitch Mittens, extra toes, and he's old and cranky, and he's a dick. So he's gonna just sit here and love up all over my onesie. By the way, hi onesie women, love ya, y'all rock. And welcome back to Civilization. So a couple days later, my boss comes in and I'm like, they're making me go and get a tetanus shot. He's like, no, you don't have to go get the tetanus shot. They're just recommending it. I talked to my boss and she said, no, you don't have to go and get it. It's just a recommendation. So I'm like, cool, because I don't want to go and get it. I have it scheduled, but I don't want to go and get it. And so there was that. And so here's my kitchen supervisor, who I work with 1 day a week. She got herself a paper cut by a box. And I started laughing. I go, oh, you're going to have to call MedCorps. You got to go and talk to them and report it. What, really? I said, yep, do it. Here you go. Here's the phone. And so she's all upset, and she was pissed off at me. And so she had a Band-Aid on her finger yesterday, and she was like wagging it at me like, you know. So there's that. And it was like, really, you got to call MedCorps every time you get a bump or a scrape or a paper cut. And so yeah, that was my fun. So right now, the reason why I'm not doing a live is because I don't want to step over Mason Hiffner, who is doing a live right now. They're out fishing. I'm actually watching them on another screen. I got the volume turned off, but yeah, Mason Hiffner. So go and check him out. There he is. They're out fishing. You can find our link on my channel page. Just go and click on it and go and give him some love. In the process, can you also give Captain Brian some love too? Pretty soon the boats will start coming back to the marina, and in order for him to be able to do his lives, he needs 50 subscribers to be able to do a mobile live. He's just shy of that milestone. He needs 25 more, 26 more, something like that. So please go and show him some love too, and subscribe to his channel so that he can have the subscribers that he needs in time for when the boats start arriving back at the marina. He's over on the East Coast. Really beautiful views too, by the way. Took us on a tour of the boatyard, but it wasn't a live. I think it was a premiere. But anyhow, so it's been a pretty wild week for me. Really tired out. So the reason why my vlog is titled the way it is because I want to bring some attention to something that was brought to my attention from somebody else, and I don't think it's all right. I've been mulling this over for a week now, and as you know, I like to wear onesies. The reason why is because I live in the Pacific Northwest. It's very cold, and especially considering the fact that we have a huge gaping hole in our ceiling still from when our roof leaked. The roof is fixed, but there's a big gaping hole still. We're still waiting on insurance to come and take care of that. My house is cold, and on my days off, I like to be comfortable, and I like to just wear my pajamas and my onesie all day. And, you know, it's like wearing a blanket, and the animals think I'm a giant chew toy. They like my onesie, and onesies are cool. They're not gay. So saying that something that somebody wears is so gay is so wrong on so many levels. And that's like me saying being a middle-aged white woman with a raging alcoholism issue is gay. No, it's not right either. And I'm not saying that. I'm just using that as an example. Sounds ridiculous and stupid. But since we're on that subject of gay, I, or just gayness, or whatever you want to call it, I've been openly pansexual for many decades now. I used to identify as bisexual, but that ended up becoming a fashion statement among college-age girls that were looking to attract attention from college-age boys in bars by getting all kissy-faced and dancing all naughty in front of these guys in order to attract guys because, oh, that's so hot, So I stopped identifying as bisexual and decided pansexual was a much better category for me because I did have a girlfriend a few years back. Unfortunately, she died from complications from COPD. It was started out as pneumonia, and I remember this very vividly because Timmy and I were going to the boat show in Seattle, and I said, "Hey, let's go and visit Val." Val was a very special person to me. And yes, Timmy and I, we have a very special relationship. He understands that. He understands. So he's all right with that as long as he and I communicate. And he gets to meet other people that I may have a interest in. But Val, she was trans from male to female, and she was post-op and had been post-op for, I think she had her surgery back in the 90s, maybe 2000s. But anyway, she was a very special person to me, and I never really had any want to find another girlfriend. That doesn't mean that he and I share a girlfriend. It's just that being pansexual, and we decided, polyamory is a thing that we can live as a couple with no animosity. So we're also polyamorous. And in case you don't know what polyamory is, it's where you can actually be in loving relationships with more than just one person. It's non-monogamy of sorts. So I do find some offense to that. That's so gay to wear onesies. It's just not right. It's just so not right. And it really hurts me to my soul. But I'm not going to show that anger because the person who made that comment is just a hateful person in general. I'm not going to give that person the benefit because it's not right. And Tiger and I had talked in great detail about this subject. He's not the one that told me about it. It was somebody else. Just to get that out there so that he doesn't get blamed for something that he didn't do. It wasn't Tiger. And he advised me against bringing this up. But being who I am, and being very vocal about certain topics, I felt that I should address this because the Munchie Mafia and my channel and those that are within the umbrella of our community that we created together, we are very inclusive individuals. We don't subscribe to homophobia, to racism, or anything like that, ageism, any kind of isms, bigotry. We'll just say bigotry and just use that term loosely. Um, we want to ensure that all of our subscribers, that they feel safe in our environment, that we put out there on the internet, um, through YouTube or Facebook, TikTok, whichever, but primarily YouTube because I don't deal with the other ones. You matter, um, as a person. We practice kindness and love and compassion, and anything beyond that goes against every fiber of my being, because I remember being the kid in the 70s, that lived in Seattle in a suburb where everybody was predominantly white. It was lots of white families everywhere, where it wasn't really um, fully accepted to be the byproduct of a multicultural or biracial family. Add to it that I was also named a traditional Filipino name. It was named after my grandmother, who I never got to meet. Bullying is never good, but unfortunately, it's something that kind of goes hand in hand with social media. Um, and I kind of chalk it up to there's just people out there in this world that are um, just so dissatisfied with their own lives that they have to make positive people feel like absolute trash in order for them to feel better about themselves. That's not right either. Um, so also another thing is that one of my children came out to me as trans when he was in his early teen years. Um, and I remember having a rather interesting discussion with that child who came home from being at dad's house over the weekend. I was sitting in my office, my home office, and they walked in the door and was telling me all about a movie that they had gone to see with their father. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm glad you guys had a wonderful time. So the older one went upstairs to their room, but the younger one stayed behind and was leaning up against the doorway to the office and just blurted out just blurted it out. I'm not a girl. Um, and I'm like, okay, what do you mean by that? Well, I'm a boy. I'm like, okay, all right, well, we can work with that. And you could tell that that child was having an awkward moment, not fully understanding just where this conversation was going to go with mom. And mom kind of already had a suspicion, but never made a comment about it, because I wanted that child to feel comfortable and confident to come to mom and say, hey, you know what? I think I might be gay, or I might be trans, or I might be whatever. And so I just turned my chair around and looked at my child who was standing in the doorway. Actually, now I think about it, I think Cal was 14 at the time. Very smart and very bright child. Very smart and very bright adult, who has left the country. Haven't seen this child for several years, and is thriving in Sweden, where their father had originated from. And one of the things that I always told my kids is, go out in the world and do whatever it is that you want to do that makes you the happiest. And that one did. And but back to that story, because the squirrel in my head is wanting me to go in a different direction, which I probably should be, because this is actually a very hard conversation for me. And I just sighed, and I looked at my child and said, well, since I'm the mother of you, and you've decided to tell me that you're a boy, that means I get to rename you. And the name that I actually chose for Cal was Sven, because my children are half Swede, and figured that would be a good, proper Swedish first name to go with the Swedish surname. So I remember my kids' eyes lighting up as they're standing there in the doorway, arms no longer crossed, like so. I just don't feel confident in telling you this, but I'm telling you this. No longer crossed, so felt more at ease. And the child went off and said, cool, and happily went down the hallway and up the stairs to go do whatever teenagers like to do with their Sunday afternoon. And everything was great. And I feel bad for the kids and adults that were never accepted by their families. And I remember a friend of mine that I'd fallen out of touch with for no reason. Just, you make friends, you have long friendships, and people just go in different directions with their lives. And all of a sudden, that closeness grows to distance. And then all of a sudden it's like, where did that person go? You're thinking years later, where has that person gone? And this was back before social media. So, but anyway, my friend back then was named Jessica. And I remember when Jessica was going through her transition, and I remember the stories that she told about how she wanted to commit suicide. She was doing things that would unalive herself much quicker, doing risky things and doing things that were not safe, and getting involved with alcohol and drugs, and not feeling like she had a support structure in place. And that was a moment in my time where I thought to myself, I wonder if my children will ever have that discussion with me. My oldest was only 2 at the time, and I think I was pregnant with the youngest one at the time. So that thought had always been in the back of my head all these years. What if my child would come and tell me that? Would my child feel comfortable with telling me something like that? What can I do to ensure that my child will feel comfortable having that conversation? And it all just comes down to love that child unconditionally. That's why hate and bitterness doesn't belong in our society. And just be loving and supportive. You just never know what kind of impact you're going to have on somebody. Might as well make it a positive impact. And the reason being is, at the end of the day, if you make somebody feel good about themselves, you should be feeling good about yourself because you did something to make somebody happy for the day. Because that's part of the problem with society, is that there's just too much suffering. And I think that when you think of the teachings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, for example, human suffering is our own creation. We're creating our own suffering by not spreading joy, spreading more joy, being happy, being fulfilled. I mean, it's all intertwined. So anyway, I'm probably boring you all enough. So today is Saturday. We are actually having a problem with some high winds and rain and so on and so forth. And it actually looks like the sun might be trying to come back out again. So I'm not going to do a live. Plus, I'm not going to trample over the top of Mason, who's having a wonderful time. I just love the views. I'm still watching, but I haven't said anything in chat for a while. But then again, I was also on the phone. But, when it comes to supporting my other community members, my community ambassadors, I should say, I let their videos run all the way from start to finish, or as best as I possibly can, so that they get the credit for the watch hours. And they support the same way. So what we're planning on doing is a 2-part. Not sure if it's going to be live yet. It could just be 2 premieres. Captain Brian, one of our newest community ambassadors, he requested a nice chicken soup. And there's a chicken soup that I make that I haven't made in a long time. So we're going to actually do that in a 2-part. And I'm going to show you how to break down a whole chicken and how to roast your chicken bones to get it ready for chicken soup. So it's what I call a creamy chicken and biscuit soup, which is kind of like a creamy version of a French onion, but with chicken. And the onion part, if you put them together and they got married, they would have this beautiful offspring. And so I'm going to show you that. And then what I'd also like to do is challenge every single one of my viewers to write something in the comments about something that you would like to see, in the future, or list out 5 common grocery store ingredients. Just random ingredients, like you could say like Velveeta shells and cheese, and then something, but don't say foie gras or anything crazy, because I don't make a lot of money. Can't afford to do that. So just pick 5 common ingredients that you think would be in every grocery store. It can be a can of beans or something, and then some other ingredients. And we're going to do a mystery box challenge. I'm going to challenge one of our community ambassadors to also do the same challenge. So I'm going to pick one of them. I don't know which one I'm going to pick yet, but comments, please go and put that in there. Maybe yours will be chosen. I'm looking for 5 different people to give me 5 ingredients. So think mystery box competition. So it could be just crazy. It's dumbest things. It's like it can even be like a unsweetened Kool-Aid packet, something. Anyway, so come up with something. Write it in a comment on this one, and then we will discuss it and pick one sometime this weekend, and then we'll see that for one of the very future lives. So let me know what you think, and I will see you all later on. So don't forget to always cook with love, but eat with passion.